Right then, I guess the first place to start is what are we expecting our lineup to look like then, Martin, before we
So
talk about what we're going to do in and out of possession, which I think is probably more interesting. Do you think there'll be many changes here?
I cannot see it unless there's been some sort of injury crisis and Sam Byron plays. Who knows? But yeah, it's going to be very similar to what we've seen in recent games. I would expect it to be Darlow again in goal. I would probably expect it to be Bogle at right back, centre backs of Roden, Strauk, and Biol. Then left back, if Gabby Goodmanson is available, I would expect him to play at left wing back. And midfield, probably the exact same one that we saw in the last game. So that'll be Gruev, Stark, and Ampadu. And then most likely the same starting two again, Calvert-Lewin and Aronson to round that off. There is a chance that James Justin stays in the squad. And I'm not sure who comes out, to be totally honest. But I just think that Fark really likes using him at the moment, and the potential that he starts over Biol, which it isn't what I would like to see in this game, especially against Erling Haaland. But yeah, that is the only difference I could maybe see to what I initially said there. But yeah, we will see. I hope it is the first one that I said. No offense to any James Justin lovers amongst our listeners. I love him too, but he is backup, and our first choice players are better at the things that he can do. Maybe outside of the outside centre back role, I think maybe he does a few things in that better than what Joe Rodon can do, at least in terms of in possession. But in this game, we probably need more out of possession players rather than in possession to be at top if we want to get a result on this one.
Right. Yeah. I think it's quite likely that Justin stays in, personally. I think we're obviously guessing here with the Goodmanson thing, but did sound like he was just ill. It's been another week. I don't think players are often ill for more than a week, given the physical condition they're in, given the way they're looked after at clubs. I think he'll be all right by Saturday. But I think Justin will stay in for the reasons that he mentioned about Ollie Watkins. And it's the same kind of ideas for Haaland, isn't it? Where his power and his pace is so that you might want some more speed in that back line. You might not want Beal, who's more powerful, but you might want someone who's a bit quicker, which means Justin, which means Roden. Roden obviously was challenged with doing a bit more of a marking job on Watkins than the other centre-backs. And Strout was covering Rodgers. Maybe it's a similar job here where Roden and Justin are handling Haaland more and Strout's handling the other striker / one of the attacking midfielders more when they pushed up. So that's where I see it. And the rest, yeah, I agree with you. So I'm not going to add too much. I guess then which players will cause them the most problems in this one from our perspective, matching up to them? What are you saying for that?
So the main one I'd say who could cause some issues, this going back to something I said in the Man City part, was about their press and some like sort of gaps that I saw in it. There was kind of a gap at times between the mid pressing unit and the defensive line, which I could definitely see a player like Calvert-Lewin occupying quite nicely and bringing down aerial balls and feeding over players like that. But it does seem to me like the sort of issue which Pep would maybe be aware of. And if my eyes can see it, I think they was more comfortable doing it against Liverpool because they don't really have a target man like Calvert-Lewin to bring down the aerial balls like we have. So Man City's press could look a bit different and they could just tighten up those gaps a little bit. It could even be a bit less of an aggressive press so as to try to draw us onto them a bit more to try to generate that space. But Calvert-Lewin is always important for us. If we want to play well, we need him to play well, and he's played well nearly every game that he's played this season, to be honest, even if he hasn't always been excellent. He's always been effective and helps the team perform to their best level, whether that's occupying centre-backs or it's doing those gut-busting runs that he does to get on the end of balls, which he shouldn't really get on the end of. He's a fantastic player and will cause issues for Man City. I do think that right side, which you mentioned, can be something that we can look to get at. And I'm looking at Bogle for that. I think he's got capabilities which could cause problems for any side. Hopefully, he won't perform too excellently. That will definitely put him on the radar of a lot of clubs if you have that excellent game against Man City. But yeah, I don't want to lose him. Being selfish. But yeah, those are the two ones for me: Bogle and Calvert-Lewin.
I don't really know what else I can add. So we'll move on to players that we're worried about. I guess the whole team, you could say here, because it's Man City, because from a technical standpoint, they are a side with just way better players than us. But, and this was a point that John made, and a point that we have made this season, not just for Man City, but for other games, when we come up against a team who have a higher technical level than us, the disparity's there, fair enough, then you can drag them down to your level physically, and you can make the game scrappy and scruffy. We might be able to actually physically not just match Man City, we might be able to better them in some ways. So I think there's a lot of players that are bigger and stronger and more powerful than theirs, and they do have that. They have added to those, areas with those profiles. He's a very athletic centre back who's good on the ball. He's 6 foot and he's a centre back. He's like 1 centimetre taller than me. It's not very tall for a centre back, I can tell you that.
It is not. He's shorter than I am.
So that's just one example of where we can maybe have some upside physically, and we can better them in that sense. It's not just about dragging them down to your level either. John mentioned the phrase kind of destabilizing their in possession plan with what you're doing, and I think we can have some joy here. And I actually I've talked about John so much on this, but he did some analysis on the Liverpool game recently, Man City, and basically Man City were allowed to play some of that game their old way. And by that, I mean a lot of short interchanging passes, deep in build-up, get the ball at the pitch quite slowly and patiently, and Liverpool quite passive against them. Suddenly, Liverpool go man-to-man against them, and Man City caused all kinds of problems, and Liverpool had a much better end to that game because of it. I've said already on this podcast that our style and how we perform in this game will dictate what they try to do with whatever players they've got out there, and which profiles for them will actually have the beating of us and be the areas where we might struggle. So that's why I'm getting there. Sorry if I'm not answering the question yet. I'm getting there. I think if we go do our man-to-man hybrid press that we've done it before under Farke. We don't do it in every game. We did it against Villa. We do it here. I actually think it's probably the right idea, and people might be scared about pressing so aggressively against Man City man-to-man like that. But it works. It's what has caused them to basically turn the ball over and have more issues. They don't like it. They like to be able to dominate at their own pace. If the game becomes like more open, they haven't fully got there yet. As much as Pep's adapted and found answers and solutions to that this season somewhat, it's still not there fully. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think we should destabilize them by doing that. I think we should not let them play their own game by doing that. And it means that certain players for them are then more important. That's your ball carriers. That's your Nico O'Reillys. That's your 2 fullbacks, especially Rayan out and Aït-Nouri, who will love to get forward up the pitch. That's Antoine Semenyo. That's somewhat Omar Marmoush. Like, it's those kinds of player rather than your Rodris and your Gahey's getting on the ball and dictating play. Bernardo Silva's good in tight spaces and a decent enough passer of the ball, but it's not going to be his game as much as some of the other guys that are really going to dribble and carry into spaces. And if they do that, I am worried when we get the man-to-man press wrong, that there are certain individuals that will struggle, particularly in wide areas, because essentially Stack and Aronson are going to have to help out with the 2 wing-backs quite a lot, / our wide centre-backs might get pulled out sometimes because the wing-backs get beaten. So Gudmundsson, Bogle, really here in and out of possession. A lot of our game plan, a lot of how we win this match is going to come down to them and how well they play in and out of possession. So I'm worried about that because, Semenyo beats Gudmundsson and is bearing down on Strauch in a left side channel, right side channel for them, left side channel for us. I don't like that. That's going to be quite scary. So those are the kind of individuals I'm worried about personally in this one. Sorry, that was a long answer and a bit convoluted, but it was the last point I had to make tactically, really. Is there anyone else you're worried about struggling in this match?
I've already mentioned the player who I'm looking at was Smelliott, and yeah, the same concern you mentioned there about him getting by Goodmanson, and I think he can cause problems for Strauch. Strauch doesn't have the quickest turning circle in the world. We obviously love him, but we are aware of his flaws, and are fine to mention them, and that's the thing which I think could cause us problems on down our left hand side. I do like what you said about the man-to-man press, and while I think we should be going aggressive, it could go badly wrong, is what I would say. Yeah, we was excellent in the Villa game, but we weren't as excellent with it in the Chelsea game. Now, you could say that's because we did it better against Villa, or it could be that Villa were worse than Chelsea. So it's which side that falls under. What was for the Villa game because we were much better, or was it because Villa were worse than Chelsea?
Yeah, and can we perform it as well as, let's say, Liverpool did recently? Yeah. And I know they lost that game, but they at least made it a lot more difficult for City by doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, and Chelsea are better than both of these two sides who recently attempted this press on. So that's why it is a risky strategy, but go for it. If I'm totally honest,
I think it's our best way. Yeah,
yeah. I do want us to take risks in some games because against a club like City, I think it's going to be an uphill battle no matter what strategy you employ, especially for a team of our standing and with the players that we have. So we need to try to do everything we can, which ups our chances. Obviously, the risk is that Pep will have seen what we've done in these recent games. His analysts will have pointed it out to him. He will be making changes to his approach with that in mind.
He'll pack the team out with powerful ball carriers, and it'll be horrible.
Exactly, especially because Liverpool recently did that same job on them like you mentioned, because it's recently happened to him, so it'll be in the back of his mind even more. So my hope is that he overthinks it a bit and gets things wrong, because as good, excellent a manager he is, and I echo, he is the greatest of all time, he does have habits of overthinking games at times, and he has got some wrong. It's very few and far between, but it does happen. So that's what I think my hopes are resting on this game, is we take that risk and be more aggressive in our press in this one, and go man to man, really get in their faces. It's at Elland Road. It's in the evening, near enough anyway. And I think we should definitely look to get at them, and that's where our best hope would lie in this one, because I don't think sitting back and trying to absorb pressure against them would really work. We tried to do it against Villa to a degree in the second half, and it eventually unfolded, and Villa aren't anywhere near as good as a Pep side at breaking down low blocks. That is their main weakness, like a lot of top sides can be, like top sides outside of the really, really elite ones. So that's the sticking point for me. I just want to see a fun, chaotic game of football, if I'm totally honest. I'm not hoping for any points from this one. If we get them, that'd be lovely. But yeah, it'd be fun.
Hate the term free hit, but if there is a game left that you had to say that's a free hit in our last 11, is this one.
Yes.
So I get that. Also, it kicks off, I would say, 5:30 is either late afternoon or early evening. That's probably maybe one. Answer that in the comments if you're on YouTube.
At this time of the year, I'd say it's more evening than
I would agree.
Afternoon, early evening, because it's darker. It'd still be quite dark at 5:30. For
sure, like after about half an hour of the game, it will be evening because it'll be dark.
Well, the lights will be turned on, so that's the call for me. Yeah.
Also, just to add one more thing to what you're saying there, like I don't think Pep is like, some people will describe him as arrogant. I don't think he is, but maybe when you say he overthinks it, he might have a little bit of like, oh, we can go to Elland Road and we can dominate the ball. Their results in the last few seasons when they've come here, I know it's been under different managers for us, but still, they had 2 wins, pretty comfortable, and a draw, which was in front of no fans. And that's it. So maybe, like he'll think, oh, we can just go there and play our game, dominate the ball, play a lot of short, snappy build-up stuff, and it'll be fine, rather than having to go with the more direct style. But I agree, his analysts will have told him at least have some physical profiles that can carry the ball over large distances, because if they are man-to-man, like they were against Villa, that's your way of opening the game up. That's your way of destabilising Leeds, isolating certain players in bad areas and where you can cause them problems. So yeah, that's what I would say. And then the thing that goes in our favour a little bit is the extra 10% we get at Elland Road. I think that helps with the game plan when you're going aggressively in their faces. Fans love it, and they'll get right behind the team doing it, because they love to see a team like putting that effort in. And if we can go to DCL enough, I think we've also got like a way out against Man City, where you've got someone that can relieve pressure for you and who can maybe knock it down to some teammates. I think he's better than most of their centre backs that they'll play in this game in the air. Diaz is pretty good, but I still think he's better than most. So there is that. That's already answered the next question, really, hasn't it? Any changes to our tactics in our possession?
Yeah, I figured we was answering that question as well. So you kind of moved into it.
Yeah, I did. Sorry. It kind of tied into the last one. That's why I did it.
It's cool.
So then we'll finish on this then, Martin, which is, what will this game of football look like, and where will the game be won or lost?
I think it could look a bit basketball, this one. I think there'll be periods where both sides have possession of the ball. We will have some spells where we do possess the ball. If we somehow do manage to go ahead, then it will maybe look the total opposite, and it could end up looking worse than the Villa game in terms of the possession stats. But they can be vulnerable in transition, so that is why I'm saying it could look a bit basketball, because they could be forcing attacks, and then we could attack right back if we get the transition play right. Didn't quite get it correct in the Villa game, especially in the second half, not until Macher came on. But yeah, where the game will won or lost, I think it's a hard one to answer this, but if we can get our approach right and we look as good in the man-to-man press as what we did against Villa, and if at the same time Pep overthinks things, that's where the game will be won for us. It'll be lost for us if Pep has devised something excellent and gets around our man-to-man element of the press with ease and cuts us through, because there is spaces for their players to get into if they do get around it, which they have got the weapons to be able to do that. If I don't think our backline will be quite as high as what it was against Villa, when you've got Erling Haaland on the shoulder of Pascal Struijk, and as much as I love Joe Rodon and his recovery pace, I'm not sure he's quite got Erling Haaland level of recovery pace. So yeah, it could go any way, could this one, but I'm not expecting any points. But there is always a chance at Elland Road that we can nick something. But it is slimmer than some sides, I would say.
No mention of first goal, which I agree with this time, because one of the main ways we can get back into a game if it goes that way is set pieces. I think we have got
If Fulham can do what they did with barely any XG.
Yeah, that's also true.
No reason why
take
we
a free kick on the edge of the box. It's easy, isn't it? He just scores them all.
Yeah.
I think he's only taken like 4 or 5 for us and scored 3. But yeah, set pieces is a big way back in. I know actually we had a question about set pieces recently. We're going to answer at some point, or maybe even do an article on it, because I haven't been as prolific from them recently. Haven't been creating as much. But if ever there was a time, I think we have a lot of much taller, more physical players than them. Maybe we'll be all right. Maybe that's the way to kind of get back into it if we do go behind. So don't worry. Just need to get into positions where we can win set pieces, win fouls, win corners. But the main way I think we win this game, and what it might look like if it's a positive for us, just to add to what Martin was saying, I'm not going to add loads. I agree with your answer. It's physicality. It's, can we bring the game down to our level and our terms more than we can their terms, and where they're sort of dictating play and they're popping it around us, and their technical players are actually winning the game for them rather than their physical ball carriers. It's their technical players that are passing through us. If they can't, and it turns into a physical battle, and it's a lot of man-to-man, I think we can make this really rough for them and make it horrible, and maybe we can scab something, and I would love to see us do that. Silver lining for me is that I don't mind if Arsenal don't win the league and Man City do. So if we lose, that's the small silver lining for me personally. I know
wrong end of the table for me to care about.
No one cares about it really, but at the same time, everyone does, because when you come down to it, you do prefer Man City to Arsenal most of the time. Anyway,
I couldn't care.
Fair enough. We'll end there. Just a quick reminder then, the website for our Patreon is what, Martin?
patreon.com/ASAW Patreon.
And Barry's content will be going on there soon. I'm going to name and shame. Well, not name and shame, but name him here because he says that he's going to do something. So Hosty says he's going to write something. And that means that now it's in, it's out there in the world. I've said it now. He's got to do it. So that'll be going on soon. That'll be about Farker and subs. And I know we've done stuff on that before, but he wants to have a proper look at some stuff. So he's going to give that to you all. But yeah, like and subscribe on YouTube, and we'll speak to you very soon. But all we have time for today is to say thank you very much to Martin.
Thank you as well, mate.
And thank you, dear listeners. We'll be back to review this game and to preview Sunderland very soon because it's on Tuesday. So see you soon. Bye.